we're unlikely to have that kind of picture about someone coming from Syria, and that's the piece I just wanted folks to be aware of.
Has anything changed in your vetting process? Have you updated it? Do you have any concerns with regard? We've seen an increased terrorist activity in the last 6 months, including New York, New Jersey, and Minneapolis. Has anything changed in the vetting process? Can you be confident that foreign fighters or other refugees entering the country are not planning future attacks on our country?
Well, as I said, over the last year, since I was last before you, the vetting process has gotten more effective in the ways I described. I'm in a business where I can't ever say that there's no risk associated with someone, so we wake up every day in the FBI worrying about who might have gotten through in any form or fashion to the United States or who might be getting inspired while they're here. So I can't ever give a blanket assurance.
Director, I respect your opinion. And this is not a policy question. I'm asking you based on your personal opinion as a law enforcement officer that we rely upon to keep this country safe. Is there anything that you would do to ensure, as you said, that our country is safe with regard to this refugee process?
Anything that I would do? Anything
that you do. Any recommendations you have for Congress, for this country, that would ensure our safety?
Yeah, I shy away from assurances of safety, given the nature of the threats we face. I do think that there may be opportunities to do more in the social media space with refugees in particular, and I talked to Jay Johnson yesterday about it. I know there's a work in progress. So much of people's lives, even if we don't have it in our holdings, may be in digital dust that they've left in different places. Are we harvesting that dust on people who want to come into this country in the best way? And I think there may be ground for improvement there.
Thank you, Director. And I will yield back. But, Mr. Chairman, I'd ask unanimous consent to enter the memorandum that I referenced earlier from dated May 12, 2014, into the record.
Without objection, it will be made a part of the record. The Chair recognizes the gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Collins, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Comey, I appreciate you being here. You are, I believe, forthright, much more so than you said is in any criminal case we've had. But I'm also still in the military. I'm still in the Air Force Reserve. I went to my drill back in July. I was hit by an amazing amount of questions from different service members on this issue of how does the former Secretary of State get to do this, and yet we have members of the military who are prosecuted all the time. Your statements earlier were fairly startling when you said, I don't know if anybody else has been classified this. Just since 2009, the Department of Justice has prosecuted at least 7 people under the Espionage Act, all for very similar cases. Now, you said go look at the facts. Well, we're looking at the facts in these cases. The interesting one, and you know, you said that in looking back at your investigation, mishandling or removal of classified information, we cannot find a case that would support bringing criminal charges on these facts. All right. Well, it didn't take nothing but a simple legal search to find a Marine that fallen. Now, I guess their name is not Jane or Joe, so they did get prosecuted, okay? And this is the issue under 18 U.S.C. 793F, gross negligence. This is what the Marine did. They took classified information that was put into a gym bag, cleaned out, washed, and took. All right, simple mishandling. Court of Appeals actually upheld this case, and this is what they said, that the purpose of federal espionage statutes is to protect classified documents from unauthorized procedures such as removal from proper place of custody, which would mean how you deal with this. Regardless of means of removal, it was apparent gross negligence and was approximate cause of the document's removal. It is, and they quoted United States v. McGinnis, said it is clear the Congress's intent to create a hierarchy of offenses against national security ranging from classic spying to merely losing classified materials through gross negligence or the mishandling of. It was sort of also ironic for me that when I had to go back in July in this past month when I went back, I had to do my annual information assurance training that went through everything that we have to do with handling classified information. I have been in a war zone. I've been in private. This is just common knowledge among most everybody in the world, obviously not to the Secretary. How can you then explain to me this Marine's mistake in taking classified documents or mishandling them is more severe than the Secretary of State who sent and received classified emails on a regular basis, including those that were originally classified, not those that were classified later, but were originally classified?
Yeah, first of all, I'm familiar with the case, and I'm quite certain it's not a 793F case. It was prosecuted
His
as I.
conviction was under 793F.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, I'll go back and check again. I'd urge you to too. I'm pretty sure it's not under the gross negligence prong of 793F, but it's a Uniform Court of Military Justice prosecution, not by the Department of Justice. Am I remembering correctly?
This was from and is appealed out in the U.S. the Court of Appeals for the Armed Forces did actually hold it on this. Yes.
But regardless, I think I don't think this is under the same provision, but even there, that's a case involving someone who actually stole classified information, hard copies. What people need to remember, and I don't say this to make a little of it, I think it's a very serious matter. What happened here is the secretary used an unclassified email system, her personal system, to conduct her business.
And let's just stop right there. That in and of itself, and I understand this, Dr. Cummings, we've been through it. You've been through a lot of questions. I apologize. But let's just come back to the basics here. We're trying to parse that I didn't have such a Sandy Berger or all these others who've been prosecuted. They took a hard copy. In today's society, and even understanding if you go through any information assurance class, anything else, they tell you it cannot be on a personal laptop. In fact, there was another chief petty officer who had classified information on a personal computer. It went back and forth to war zone. That is not physical documents. It's on a, to parse words like that is why the American people are fed up. They're fed up with the IRS commissioner when he does it. They're fed up here. I'm not attacking your, I think you're one of the more upright people I've met. I think you just blew it. I think the Attorney General blew it. I shared this with her. And I think when we come to this saying there's no other way that you can say that there's no others that resemble this, as a lawyer, you're taught all the time to take facts and put them, they may not be exact, but they fit under the law. You can't, I mean, so I guess maybe I'm going to change the question because we're going to go down to a dead end. You're going to say it wasn't. But let me ask you this. I want to change questions. Do you honestly believe that a lady, a woman of vast intelligence, who is the First Lady of the United States, who is a senator who had access to classified information, all the members here do, who is Secretary of State who had even further classification ability, even beyond what we have here. Do you believe that in this case, honestly, she was not grossly negligent or criminal in her acts?
First of all, I don't believe anyone other than my wife. My question is, what evidence do I have to establish that state of mind? And I don't believe I have evidence to establish it beyond a reasonable doubt.
Then really what we're saying here is this. This is in essence what you're saying. You said, I can't prove it, and I understand. There's a lot of folks out there in the law that, they come to us all the time. I'm an attorney as well, and they come to us and say, it's not what we know, it's not what we think, it's what we can prove. I get it. But here's the problem with this, and this is the person who's asking to lead this country. If she can hide behind this and gleefully get approval from the FBI through an investigation, which has been covered here thoroughly, then I just do not understand. She is either the most arrogant, which probably so, or the most insanely naive person we've ever met. Because when I actually show evidences of basically the same thing, which you can take facts and correlate to law, this is why the armed forces right now have the new term called the Clinton defense. I didn't know. I didn't mean to. It's on my thing. It's the Clinton defense. With questions like this, Director, we have given the ability now to where nobody takes this seriously. And this is why people are upset. When it was originally classified, she can tell all the stories she wants. She can have the backup from you that no prosecutor, which is, again, amazing to me, that a law enforcement would tell the prosecutor, because how many times I've been on both sides of this, where the law enforcement agent said, I'm not sure we have a case here, but when the prosecutor looks at it, the prosecutor says, yeah, there's a case here. I don't really, frankly, no offense, care what, if I'm in prosecuting, what the law enforcement officer, if I can see the case and I can make it, that's my job, not yours. And yet now we have a whole system that has been turned upside down, not because I don't believe your honesty of your people, but I believe you blew it because you, frankly, didn't have the whole situation into effect where the FBI would look political. And unfortunately, that's all you've become in this. And it's a sad thing because y'all do great work. You have do great work, and you will do great work. But I think it's time to start, we just bring down the curtain. There's a wizard behind the thing, this Hillary Clinton, who is playing all of us because she's not that naive. She's not stupid. She knew what she was doing because she was simply too bored. If she, God forbid, gets into 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue and just gets bored with the process, then God help us all. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Mr. Chairman, There's only two.
The director is permitted to respond.
Yeah.
Two pieces of that I need to respond to. First, you said hiding behind something. This case was investigated by a group of professionals. So if I blew it, they blew it too. Career FBI agents, the very best we have, were put on this case, and career analysts. We are a team. No one hid behind anything. American citizens should insist that we bring criminal charges if we're able to investigate and produce evidence beyond reasonable doubt to charge somebody. That should be true whether you're investigating me or you or Joe Smith on the street. That's the way this case was done. It's about evidence. And the rest of it I'll let go.
Mr. Chairman, I will, and I apologize if you're not saying, just to comment. I'm not, this is the problem, though. When you take it as a whole, it's been said up here, this is a unique case. You've talked about it being a unique case. Director, this is a unique case because I truly, and I don't think you convinced hardly anybody except your own group, I don't think you ever said they couldn't blow it. They blew it. Anybody else would have been prosecuted under this. In my humble opinion,
You're just wrong.
you say
You're
no.
just wrong. We'll just have to agree to disagree.
Well, unfortunately, there's a lot to disagree on this. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Time of the gentleman has expired. The gentleman from Idaho, Mr. Labrador, is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Comey, I've always appreciated your testimony before this committee, and I respect the work that you do for the FBI. When you made your recommendations to the Department of Justice to not prosecute Hillary Clinton, I actually disagreed with your decision, but I appreciated your candor in explaining to the American people and to us those recommendations. Since that decision, I continue to view you as honorable and a strong leader for the critical federal agency. In fact, I did 20 town hall meetings over the recess, and I was lambasted at every one of them. In fact, I think I lost votes because I defended your integrity at every one of those town hall meetings. And I told them why, even though I disagreed with your conclusions, I thought you came to it from an honorable place. However, as more information has come to light, I question the thoroughness, and I'm not questioning your integrity, but the thoroughness and the scope of the FBI's investigation. In the past week, we have learned of the grants of immunity to several key witnesses in the Clinton investigation, including Hillary Clinton's former chief of staff and one of the individuals responsible for setting up her server. I'm really disappointed by this revelation and confused as to why these immunity grants were necessary and appropriate given the circumstances. It appears to me that the FBI was very early in this investigation too willing to strike deals and ensure that top officials could never be prosecuted for their role in what we now know was a massive breach of national security protocol. We have a duty to ensure that our FBI is still in the business of investigating criminal activity. So at what point in the investigation was Cheryl Mills offered immunity?
Cheryl Mills was never offered immunity, not to quibble, but she was given letter immunity to govern.
At what point?
June of 2016, so June of this year, so about 11 months into the investigation.
So to be clear, was she offered immunity for interview and potential testimony or for turning over the laptop as evidence?
Turning over the laptop as evidence, it governed what could be done in terms of using it against her, that laptop.
To your knowledge, was Cheryl Mills an uncooperative witness prior to the immunity deal?
I think our assessment was she was cooperative. I forget the month she was interviewed, but she was interviewed fully before that.
And she always cooperated?
I think our assessment was, again, this is the odd way I look at the world, we had no reason to believe she was being uncooperative.
So could this investigation have been completed without these grants of immunity in place?
In my view, it couldn't be concluded professionally without doing our best to figure out what was on those laptops. So getting the laptops was very important to me and to the investigative team.
So in your vast experience,